This is not something you'd ever want as a passenger in a helicopter. Thankfully, no one was injured. Well, hopefully not. On average, every 100,000 hours that this general aviation plane flies for, 0.95 lives are lost. This is what's considered a safe plane to fly. But for every 100,000 hours a safe helicopter flies for, more than one life will be lost. Helicopters are more dangerous than aeroplanes. But there's one helicopter that holds the title as being the most dangerous of all. The Robinson R-44. Crashing is just one thing it couldn't stop doing. The main causes of general helicopter crashes include pilot error, bad weather conditions, and for some, really dumb pilots flying while drunk. This pilot clearly must have been drunk. But the main causes of the R-44 crashes had nothing to do with drunk pilots. Instead, ruptured fuel tanks after ruptured fuel tanks cost 512 lives and 291 crashes worldwide. That's not fun when there's innocent lives involved. In Australia, an unlucky person lost their life in an R-44 crash. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau suspected that it crashed because its engine had stopped mid-air. And they believe the cause of the engine cutting off mid-flight was when they found it on the ground with barely any fuel in its tank. It's quite possible that during the flight it ran out of fuel while flying. Generally, in emergencies, passengers can have some hope. In simple, low-risk emergencies, an engine warning light may go off, and for everyone's safety, the helicopter makes an emergency landing. And hopefully not in the middle of traffic. But if you're not so lucky, like how one R-44's engine stopped working mid-flight, one of two things can happen. First one is that you'll have a nice, soft landing thanks to autorotation. As the engine stops working, the helicopter's blades continue to spin as air pushes upwards against it, which is called autorotation. It's usually a soft landing, like how some flight instructors can frequently make emergency landings without telling their student passengers. And the landings from autorotation can be so soft, the students wouldn't even notice anything. And the second landing is, well, you're not so lucky. Sometimes autorotation just isn't enough to prevent fatalities. Most autorotation failures are when the helicopter lands too hard, which leads to passenger injury that kills them. After all, 50% of injuries are sustained because the skull took too hard a hit. Looks like their ribs must have been broken as well. And when a human skull is injured, the chances of survival are low. The 6,300 R-44s made cost not only around $500,000 for one, but also 512 lives. It is the deadliest helicopter ever made.